Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to this beautiful snowy day in Wasaga Beach. Our apologies for starting a little late, but we've had some technical difficulties with the YouTube link, but I understand that that is now up and working. So we will call this meeting to order, and under item number 1.1, we have a land acknowledgement, and I'll look to Councillor DeLeo for that. Good morning, Councillor.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. The town of Wasaga Beach acknowledges it is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge that the people of the Wyandot Nation also inhabited these lands. We acknowledge that these nations were sovereign nations existing before the arrival of settlers. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water. We also acknowledge the waterways near us have a long history predating European arrival. Since time immemorial, waterways were the lifeblood of the Indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In the spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and waterways for all future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Megwitch, Councillor, and we'll now go to item number 1.2 on the agenda, which is the Wasaga Beach Fire Department badge ceremony, and I'll look to our Chief and Deputy Chief to introduce our firefighters and to carry out the ceremony.
Thank you and good morning, Your Worship, members of council, public, and to the extended fire family that's standing behind me. Appreciate everybody allowing us a few minutes this morning just to celebrate some milestones of a few promotions that we have here in the fire department. It's always an important time. We do have 3 members of the fire department behind me, and today we're going to be presenting them with their badges as well as their helmets. So first, I would like to introduce probationary firefighter Jake Rowlands. Jake, do you want to come beside me? So today we are recognizing our newest career firefighter, Jake Rowlands. Jake will be assigned to A Platoon as of December 12th. Since joining the Wasaga Beach Fire Department in 2017 as a volunteer firefighter, Jake has completed all of his required annual evaluations and training. He currently holds certification as a firefighter, a pump operator, hazardous materials, and medical response. Jake has demonstrated his commitment to his community with regular attendance at community events and fire prevention programs. During 2023 and 2024, Jake was awarded the Top Volunteer Attendance Award, and he has served on the Wasaga Beach Volunteer Firefighters Association as president for the last 3 years and vice president for 2 prior years. Jake is a lifelong resident of Wasaga Beach and is the owner and operator of a successful local contracting business. Jake is bringing extensive experience in heavy equipment operations and construction. Please join me in congratulating Firefighter Rowlands on his new role, and I have full confidence that he will represent our department with pride and ownership. Excellent. Next, we have Fire Captain Jeremy Bell. So Jeremy is being assigned to A Platoon as captain. He has joined the fire department in 2005 as a volunteer firefighter and progressed through the rank to career firefighting in 2010. Jeremy is known as a second-generation Wasaga Beach firefighter who prioritizes the well-being of others, both the public and his peers, before himself. Jeremy is a certified firefighter and pumper operator, and he also holds certification as a fire officer level 2, instructor, and an inspector. Jeremy is a regular participant in our community events and enjoys volunteering his time at our annual food and toy drive. Please join me in welcoming Captain Bell to his new leadership role. And finally, we have Training Officer Jason Martin. Jason will be assigned to the training division on January the 12th and will be responsible for overseeing training and development across all 4 full-time platoons as well as the volunteer team. Jason joined the Wasaga Beach Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter in 2007 while working for the Department of Natural Defense at CFB Borden as a natural resource technician. Jason was promoted to full-time firefighter in 2016 and currently holds certification in firefighting as well as being a level 1 fire instructor and company officer. Jason recently achieved certification for open water and ice water rescue at the technician level as well. We look forward to watching Jason continue to grow our training program and maintain the momentum that we have achieved in the last number of years under the previous training officers. Please join me in congratulating Training Officer Martin. Your Worship, if there are any comments from council, and then with your permission, we'd like to come forward and take a group photo.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Chief. Any questions or comments from members of council? All right, seeing none, I do have a couple. Great to see, these promotions and progression from within the ranks of our current fire department. That tells me that we've done a good job, Chief and Deputy Chief, at making sure that these men and women now on our fire department are receiving great training and are, progressing and working well with their peers. I've been to a couple of pay nights where, Jake received that award, and he was no doubt proud of it. I can see Mom and Dad are here, and family, and kids and wife, and I'm sure they're very proud. And Jake, we're very proud of you as well. Jeremy, your father has been a firefighter in this town for many years, retired, and of course you've come up and followed in his footsteps. And I get to see many of those similar traits, and you may not like hearing that. But I see many of those similar traits, just a well-rounded, salt-of-the-earth kind of person who I'm sure is going to do this fire department very proud, and being a captain, and hard work pays off. The fun's over now, though, so congratulations. And Jason, good for you, and good to see that someone with, again, your experience and within the department who has been training with all of your peers here is going to be able to now take the reins of that and to continue to move forward. And I always believe that when we can promote from within, we have a special kind of individual who truly is embedded and rooted in the community and in the organization. So congratulations to you as well. And congratulations to all the family and friends here today. I walked up to the chief a little while ago and said, if you want to throw a party in Wasaga Beach, you just got to invite a firefighter or two. And the room is full. So congratulations to you. I'm sure you're all proud, and so you should be. And Merry Christmas to all of you. So gentlemen, thank you so much for your dedication and your time, and everything you do for this community. You're out there all the time volunteering. We see it. This year has been a lot of great work as well. So thank you and congratulations. We'll just give everyone a couple of minutes to go out to the lobby and get their photos. All right, we'll move on to item number 2 of the agenda today, which is disclosure of pecuniary interests. I have none before me at this time. If at some point throughout the meeting you feel you have a pecuniary interest, please let us know at that time for the record. I will also note that Deputy Mayor Snell is with us today via Zoom. She is in the city and was a struggle to get back. So glad you're there, safe, Deputy, and welcome. Item number 3 is the adoption of the agenda and a recommended motion that the contents of the agenda for December 11th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor DeLeo, seconded by Councillor Belanger. Any questions or comments? All in favor? That carries unanimously. Item number 4 is approval of the minutes, and the recommended motion is the minutes of the council meeting held November 27th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Any questions or comments on this? Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor Timms and Councillor White, all in favor? That carries unanimously. Item number 5 is presentations, and 5.1 is the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee Annual Report for 24-25. And Chair Steve Harlow is here with us online. Steve, good to see you. Welcome. And I'll turn the floor over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. My apologies for not coming in. I was intending to, and I started out, and it's starting to get progressively worse. So, Councillor Ego, be safe on your drive home. She's my neighbor a couple doors down. So it's going to be a slow drive when you do get back in. I believe there's a slide deck. I think it's in page 19 in your agenda, but I think you're going to put it up on the screen.
Have it on the screen now, Steve.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Worship. We can go to the next slide if you'd be so kind. So on behalf of the Tourism and Advisory Committee, I'm pleased to submit this report. We've undertaken our work based on the direction of the priorities established by Council. And I think that's a really important point that we continually remind ourselves is our job is to give you advice on the priorities that you have set for us and that you have set as elected officials, not to opine on matters that aren't aligned with your objectives, because that's your job. We recognize that our recommendations are aspirational, we push ourselves, but we do see them as achievable and implementable. We also recognize that it may not be possible for you to accept our advice sometimes. Could be because of financial considerations, due diligence, or other competing interests, which you have very many of. We would like to acknowledge and take the opportunity to congratulate the Mayor, Council, and staff on the incredible achievements done this year, particularly with the province and the upcoming transfer of land with the province on the beach properties. As a former senior civil servant with the Ontario government, I understand the process that they've had to go through, so your work was really, really important, and it is going to be a monumental improvement. As a resident of Alamo Beach, I can tell you, personally observing the difference between last year and this summer, it's immeasurable. We also recognize as a committee that change is sometimes difficult for others to accept. But we encourage you to keep moving forward, not let those who are afraid of change influence your behavior, and we're here to help support you communicate, manage, and implement the change going forward, because we truly do believe this is going to be a great benefit to residents, visitors, and businesses alike as we go forward. So maybe next slide. Next slide. So over the past year, we focused on a number of issues, and I'll just go through each of these quickly. And Nicole, if I'm running late, you let me know. I can speak faster, but I'll do this in about 7-8 minutes if that's okay with you. We met 9 times. We contributed over 100 volunteer hours of our time. We received 3 delegations to help inform our advice. One challenge that we have faced, however, I would note, is higher than expected membership turnover. So I don't know if it's possible for town and the council to figure out ways to have a pool we're roster ready to help support, but we do want to make sure that we are reflecting the diversity and the wide range of interest across the community, and it isn't just 5 or 6 people providing their input as we go forward. So that would be a thing that you could help us with going forward. We've submitted our presentation into 2 sections. The first one is the key areas of focus from last year, and also what we plan to look at next year, subject to your concurrence. Our advice is really based upon our discussions, independent research, professional expertise, and jurisdictional best practice. Details of each of these are set out in separate reports that we've submitted over the course of the year, and we recognize that feasibility assessments would be needed in order to proceed going forward. So on the next slide, we'll talk about 2 of the items, if I could. The Ontario Summer Games and the Municipal Accommodation Tax. We received a delegation from the ministry to come up and brief us on the Ontario Games. We would see the 2029 55 plus games is an ideal candidate for the town to pursue. It's a very low risk, high value proposition. It's fully funded, gives you some legacy, and would really mobilize your volunteer base. It would be a great opportunity, and the timing would be ideal for our new partnership with the Marriott Hotel as the host hotel. We would argue that you should send an observer delegation to the upcoming 2026 Aurelia Winter Games to get a sense of how it works, how it feels, both council and staff. And there is an observer program that the ministry provides, and it's really a helpful thing for you to explore if you're going to consider it. And we did have some of your staff assist us in doing a preliminary feasibility study of the assets you have, and you're more than capable of being a really successful candidate for the 55 plus games. On the municipal accommodation tax, we certainly support it. We know it's a great thing for you to generate revenue. We think it should be aligned with the other RTO 7 municipalities. We would argue that you should provide annual reporting on the revenue use and the impact. So not just it was invested here, but here's what the results achieved as were. We'd even suggest that you might want to identify 5 or 6 priorities as council that you would want to use the MAT revenue for, and get some feedback from the accommodators and tourism operators as to which ones they think might be the most impactful. Finally, we come up with a couple of our own suggested uses, a capital grant program to develop new or enhance existing assets, maybe a festival grant program similar to something like the Celebrate Ontario that you apply to for your events, but ideally focused on off-shoulder season kind of new events. And finally, we thought, given the province's interest in renewing the Nancy Island, given your interest in advancing the film and media potential for Wasaga Beach, and given the province has an interest in film, maybe there's a partnership which you could work with the province on developing a new docu-series, or maybe even a Netflix show on the story of the Nancy to coincide with the grand reopening. I think there would be keen interest on behalf of the province, and certainly, encourage that post and pre-production, where possible, could be done in Wasaga Beach as part of the agreement. I think there would be lots of interest there, and a really fascinating story to tell. Next slide. We also, you were undertaking a transportation survey, so we felt it complied that we should provide our input and advice. We think there's an opportunity to integrate Wasaga Transit, Link, Metrolinx, and the GO networks. Really think, while it's going to be a little ways away, but you need to start to plan for a future transit terminal somewhere in the community. Also, thinking about how to integrate cycling lanes across the entirety of it. And perhaps even piloting a GO bus route directly from Allendale Waterfront GO. For example, there is now a bike route on the GO transit system to Niagara, where people can go on the weekends, take their bicycles in a separate train. Maybe Metrolinx and GO would be able to entertain, a dedicated commuter service that would take you, from Toronto up to Allenwood or any of the spots in between, and then a GO bus direct to Wasaga Beach, running on the Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, even just a peak period in the summer, just to see if it's feasible and what kind of revenue could generate. It may be done in partnership with another community, but I think it could be a really ideal way to bring people up here using the transit systems and the links that are there. We also weighed in a bit on beachfront mitigation and communications. Our goals and our advice for 2025 was to reinforce the open for business messaging, which I think your communications director, Sandra Watts, had a great plan. We encourage you to expand the digital and print media outreach and provide the assets that you have to your tourism partners. So you've developed some great assets. We think those could be pushed out to other operators, whether it's the restaurants, the hospitality accommodators, but give them the same material that you've developed that's already proving it to be successful. So it's the same message. In 2026 and beyond, we also gave some consideration for, this is not going to be a one and done kind of exercise. It's going to happen for a few years. So you need to continue to maintain regular real-time updates on the redevelopment progress and show how progress is being achieved. We'd also suggest that you may want to consider a partnership agreement or communications agreement with the province. And this is particularly of interest given, the town is now going to be owning, operating, managing Beach 1, 2, New Wasaga, and Allenwood Beach. The province is going to be managing 3 to 6 plus, then the province being the Ministry of Environment, Conservation, and Parks. Then you've got Nancy Island being managed by the Ministry of Tourism. So you've got 3 different communications departments out there. Would be great if you could come up with a commonality in terms of how you're going to communicate what's happening, what you can do, where you can do what. I think that would be a really good partnership agreement and probably one the province would be most open to. Maybe you're already there, but we're not sure. I think the next slide would be tourism website. We spent regular time throughout the year looking at the website. We think it's come a long way. We'd encourage you to maintain the momentum and keep it to be among the best in class. Really wanted to enforce the need. We've seen it happen now, which is great, reflecting diversity of the images that we see on the website. Seasonal changes have been done really well. We'd suggest you add an interactive beach map and event section so you could actually scroll over and see what's happening at the different beach areas. Highlight maybe 3 separate areas, like create zones, what you can do at the beach, on the river, and around town. And focus on authenticity. People like to use the word iconic. I've seen it used too many times. It used to be, other descriptors, but don't overpromise. Deliver local character. Make it really feel and sing for what Wasaga Beach is all about. And then we would also argue you could create distinct sections about music festivals. If that's part of what our goal is, you should have a music section on there. For the festival and event strategy, we spent a lot of time. We've given your festival events team a full report in terms of some of our thoughts and ideas. We do believe you need a standalone festival event strategy. It should not be just under the umbrella of the tourism destination marketing plan, but really a standalone. 2-year planning horizon is critical. You need that kind of lead time, particularly to get sponsors on board and to help mobilize. We do think that there's an opportunity to explore new signature events. Local food festival, for example. My personal favorite that we talked about was maybe a fish festival is something that Wasaga should consider and make it around Father's Day. You could have a great event, and fishing is actually quite great in this community. And the only competitor seems to be in Lake Erie, where they have a perch festival. So try to find a new and distinct thing that might be a unique opportunity for Wasaga to capitalize. And for the music, we would suggest highlighting emerging artists is a good tactic to go as you move forward with thinking about your music and really looking at those 1,500 to 2,000 kind of person or venue kind of events. And obviously, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And that's why we really think for whatever you pursue in festival events, you need to give yourself a good lead time to make it a really successful event and make people really want to be part of it. On the next slide, looking forward. So we've identified some priorities for 2025 and 2026. Obviously, continued implementation of the tourism destination marketing plan that you previously approved is now getting to the point where a lot of it's been achieved, and how do we keep it evergreen? Obviously, we want to continue to support Destination Wasaga. As that moves forward, we will continue to provide input and advice on some of those activities. We spent a lot of time this year on trails development. We developed the terms of reference for a subcommittee with a number of items to go over. We've identified a number of additional members we would like to put on a subcommittee, but we do recognize that our plan would be to host 3 to 4 half-day sessions with a group of about 10 people, 12 people from different factions to give us a robust trails development strategy for the town to consider. It would happen over about 4 months period, but we recognize this actually would require some additional staff time and resources and potentially even a facilitator. So this is one that we would need some support from the CAO's office and council for us to pursue at this time. We plan to engage on how to capitalize on accessible tourism. The accessibility and accessible tourism industry is monstrous. So what does Wasaga need to do to become an accessible tourism destination? Or what does it need to continue to do better? We believe the public art installations is something that could be fascinating. If you've got 14 kilometers of pristine beachfront, what if we had 14 public art installations across the beach that people could go visit, etc. Everything to celebrate the heritage of the community. So you could put the airplane, a replica of it at one end of the beach. You could create a huge motorcycle to celebrate the history of the bike racing that used to happen here. I had one person suggest put a big honking pinball machine right down on beach one because it used to be the arcade zone. But something really fun and engaging, exciting across the entire community would be a lot of fun. Training and certification. So when I was in economic development in Port Elgin, Ontario years ago, we were able to attract the CAW Family Education and Training Center to locate there on a permanent basis. So our thoughts are there may be similar types of opportunities. And one example could be get the Royal Lifesaving Society of Canada to put a training center up here, given you've got the right water conditions for different types of training. You have a history of individuals in your community who are professional referees in the hockey area. A referee certification training center in the new arena could probably be ideal, particularly with the PWHL, the Women's Hockey League, now looking for types of facilities like that. We also think we're going to spend some time about fundraising partnerships. So this isn't just fundraising locally, but actually getting third-party philanthropists that have deep pockets looking to invest in particular capital type projects, such as an accessible boardwalk or other types of things. So we think there may be opportunities there. We would also like to, with council support, see if it's possible to have maybe a joint committee meeting between all the other advisory committees to share what each other's doing and make sure that we're not conflicting or duplicating each other's efforts, and actually to align those efforts in a way that's best achieve our joint objectives. You've identified your top 10 Wasaga experiences. We think we could help make those more robust or add some components to it with your concurrence. You've got a 2030 vision with regards to tourism, and we will provide advice on how to achieve that. And if there's anything that council wants us to do or doesn't want us to do, we would actually very much appreciate that input and advice. So with that, I will leave it and like to thank all my committee members and the staff person support, Caitlin, who has been an exceptional resource for us and keeps us up to speed on all matters. So really appreciate your time and effort, and hopefully that is well received for today.
Well, thank you very much, Steve. Clearly, your committee has been extremely busy, and we thank you and the committee for all your time and effort. I'll look to members of council for questions or comments, and how about we go to Councillor Timms first?
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd be remiss if I didn't have something to say about this great committee. I'm proud and privileged to be part of it, and we are well led with an incredibly experienced chair in Steve Harlow. And as you can see, we got a lot done in, was it 100 hours last year? So I know that our committee members are online. I think made the smart decision to stay home, and I'm sure they're feeling just as proud as I am. So thank you to Steve, and thank you to my colleagues, and certainly thank you to Caitlin Monsmo, our incredible economic development officer, on working hard with us. And I think that I hope my colleagues find those recommendations to be of interest. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Timms. Councillor Ego?
Yep. Well said, Ellen. And I wanted to start off too by thanking Steve and your committee. And Steve, thank you for what you bring to this town with your background with the government and tourism and culture, your expertise, your knowledge, the hours you put in and share it so willingly. We are the winners on that for sure, so thank you. I'm just going to speak mainly to transportation, I think, on this one because there's so much, but being born and raised in Toronto and getting around everywhere, bus, planes, streetcars, you name it, ferry boats, I'm such a huge believer in public transportation, and I applaud you looking at a pilot for a GO bus out of Allendale to the waterfront, and their waterfront to our town. I think that's brilliant if you could, do on that, for the transportation. A long-term planning for a central transit terminal station, again, all in transport. And I don't have the actual facts on this, but it was a tidbit that was passed on to me this week by my Australian family that do a lot of traveling. In the full state of Queensland, Australia, no matter if you're taking a bus in a little urban center, or you're in Brisbane, in the major cities, you're the waterfront, all you do on every single mode of transportation is tap when you get on. It crosses all borders. Now, I know that's an Ontario government thing, but while you're chatting about it, Steve, I know you often are thinking way long-term, and I thought that was really interesting. So all about transportation. And the summary on your website, at the beach, on the river, around town, that alone paints a picture of our town. Great job, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Ego. Other questions or comments from members of council? Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Steve, and all the committee members for all your hard work. Great presentation, by the way. I was reading through the whole presentation, and I just came across a couple of items that, if you can clarify for me so I understand it a little better. The Ontario 55 Summer Games, any idea what the cost would be to Wasaga Beach to put something like that on? I know it says here that they're going to explore reaching out to the hotel, but if they don't participate, any idea, or is it too soon to presume what an
So
approximate?
if I could, Councillor, thank you for the question. The Ontario 55 Plus Games is fully funded by the province of Ontario. The degree to which a community wants to leave a legacy, which is part of the evaluation process, is the investment you make as well. But there is a legacy component to the funding. And I believe Councillor Ego and Councillor Timms was at the presentation made by the ministry when they came to us. So if, for example, you wanted to have a basketball court put into the arena that could be lifted up and taken down for post use, you would purchase it partly with the money from the province for the games, plus additional funds from the municipality if that was a priority, and that becomes a legacy feature that's available. But the actual cost of running the games is fully funded. 55 plus is a lower cost because people find their own accommodations, but usually you have a host hotel, so the hotel operator would benefit and get the proceeds and the revenue from it themselves at a good rate. But again, that information is available. And partly what I would suggest, again, is if the council thought it was worthwhile to send some delegates to the Observer program upcoming in Midland this year to get a sense from your neighbors about how they view the experience.
Okay, wonderful. Good, got to hear that. Okay, the second one, I was a little confused here. Under the festivals and events, the summary of input, it says define a minimum standard for major tourism events, at least 2,000 attendees with 50% or more meeting the definition of tourist. Can you explain that just a bit for me?
So what we're suggesting is focus on those events or those festivals that are going to bring a net increase outside of the residents of the town of 1,500 to 2,000. So definition of a tourist is someone who travels over 40 kilometers from their home to go to an event or a place. So our advice is to focus on those events or those festivals that is going to bring you a net increase into the community of between 1,500 and 2,000 for that festival or event outside of the 40-kilometer radius.
Thank you. Yep, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Other questions or comments? All right, Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship. It's been a little while since I've been online. Thank you, through you. Thank you so much, Steve, for your presentation and for the work of your committee. I've never seen such thorough recommendations. You know, it really seems like your committee understands this community and some of its unique challenges and struggles over the decades in trying to really capture the tourism market and to clearly communicate all of our amazing offerings. So I thought your presentation was really, really well thought out. A couple of points that really struck for me, I think it's a no-brainer. We should be sending a delegation to observe the Aurelia Games. And I think that should be volunteer-based outside of any staff capacity. And Your Worship, I'd be more than happy to volunteer to do that. I think just from a bird's eye perspective to have the conversations and to see firsthand of all of the benefits. And I love the fact that that games is in the off season, which is something that this community has always struggled with in trying to capture. And the timing could not be more perfect than the launch of our beautiful waterfront hotel and opening. I also really like the idea around the video project with Nancy Island, because you're bang on. The province is really investing in Ontario tourism through the film industry. We have a beautiful landscape for that, and we have an unforgettable story that has unfortunately been forgotten for a very long time and deserves an opportunity to be highlighted. I also thought the communications agreement, I'm sure Sandra's already all over this, but again, you're spot on with your committee's recommendations. That has always been a struggle in this municipality, is that we have the municipality and our events and our staff team doing an amazing job trying to communicate and push. And then you have, the province and what they're doing with the parking and with the beaches and stuff and what they're trying to push. And then Nancy Island, so bringing the all three together now that we finally have collaboration and common vision and whatnot, that only makes sense. And that's really going to make it easier for not only tourists or locals to promote our assets and offerings when our visitors come to see us, but also more importantly, when tourists are planning their vacation. So just overall, absolute applause. Way to go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Snell. If there's no other comments, again, Steve, to you, first of all, you and your leadership on this committee, we couldn't be more blessed to have someone with your experience leading that committee. So thank you, and to the rest of the committee members. Clearly, this committee understands the role of an advisory committee. And I know that it's not easy pulling, 7, 8, 9, 10 strangers into a room and then, getting them to gel together and work together, and it takes time. But clearly this committee is there, and, this presentation has been, I believe, in any time that I have sat in this chair, probably the best presentation from any committee we've ever received, with some great recommendations. And I don't think we'll have any issue at all getting the support of council and staff to make sure we're sending a delegation to not only the 55+ event, but any of these events that are going to help us bring tourism and just good entertainment and events to this community. So again, thank you for the presentation, Steve, and your hard work and that of the committees, and thank you, Councillor Timms, for being our representative. And there's no doubt this committee is right up your alley as well. So thank you very much for that. We do have a recommended motion that the council receive the Economic Development and Tourism Advisory Committee Annual Report 24-25 for information. Mover and a seconder for this, Councillor Timms and Councillor Ego. All in favor? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Steve. Have a great day. Stay warm.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, moving on the agenda now to item number 6, delegations. We have none today. Item number 7 is government relations, and we have the proposed legislation by Ontario Act, and I'll look to our clerk to speak to this. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, and good morning, Mayor Smith and members of council. I want to provide a brief update on Bill 72, which is the Buy Ontario Act. That legislation was introduced November 20th and has currently had its third reading. The proposed legislation aims to prioritize Ontario and Canadian goods and services in public sector procurement. This does reach down and mandate that the ministries, municipalities, and other agencies give preference to first Ontario goods and then Canadian suppliers. The requirements also going to extend down to our contractors and subcontractors. The Act will require that the directives form part of funding arrangements between the public sector entity and will allow the Crown to withhold funding for failure to comply with the requirements and directives that we do receive once this legislation passes. The government intends to include enforcement measures for non-compliance of this Act, which is a little bit different than what we have now. And with the introduction of the legislation, the province also announced that it's going to establish a vendor list with Ontario and Canadian suppliers to support their inclusion in the provincial infrastructure and procurement process, which will assist us as well. When the legislation is passed and the town receives the directives, we'll review and bring any required policy changes to council. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any questions or comments for our clerk on this matter? All right, seeing none, moving on then to item number 8, which is staff reports. And before I do that, I'm sorry, but I was remiss to also thank Caitlin, our Economic Development Officer, who was here. Well, Caitlin, if you're listening, also thank you very much for all of your hard work and dedication to the committee, and I apologize for that. Item number 8 is staff reports, and the following staff reports have been pulled and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately, and that is 8.2 and 8.8. It is my understanding that council members have comments on various reports, but first we'll turn the floor to our fire chief to discuss the November 2025 Fire Department report. Chief?
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to highlight through the report, it has been a very busy couple of months for us, both from the emergency response perspective. We have responded to a number of smaller fires now that we are facing the cooler weathers. Our inspector has actually been fairly busy as well with normal routine business license inspections, but it's also with enforcement. So we've had a couple small fires, and we've also come across a couple accommodations that have lacked working smoke alarm. So I will be bringing forward information in the future about this, but very recently our inspector has levied both fines and charges under the Fire Protection and Prevention Act against local business operators who are operating as accommodation owners without working smoke alarms. On the positive side, for the fire department, we've also been very busy with community events. We try our best to support many organizations in the community, but we do have a particular focus on our annual food and toy drive. Very successful so far. We've spent a couple weekends at the Superstore, and each day filled up several grocery carts with food, as well as brought in about $2,500 so far for the food bank. But shameless plug, we also have one more event coming up this next Saturday at Foodland, where we hope to fill up many grocery carts full of food. And I also want to just highlight, there was, I think, a comment made about why do we have so many firefighters being paid collecting food at the Superstore last weekend. I was there. I think we had 15 members of our fire department present. And I want to assure council that that is not the case. We do invite our on-duty staff, which is 4, because we have 2 firefighters on each pumper, but all the additional staff that are there are volunteering their time, and I hope they do know that and I'm sure all of us in this room appreciate their volunteerism and support what they're doing. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Chief. And so just to be clear, all of the firefighters that show up to these events are volunteering their time, with the exception of maybe 4 or 5 that are on duty, that have shown up, but the pumpers are running and they're ready to go to a call if required. And so they're actually on the job. And so that's great. And again, congratulations to you and the team for all the hard work and effort that you do in our community. Any questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Belanger.
Thank you, through the mayor, and I just want to congratulate and further elaborate maybe a little on the fire department's role in volunteering and community events, because at our very recent community Christmas dinner, there were a group of homeless people that we served a very nice meal for, and were able to give a gift card. And before long, our fire chief was sitting down with these folks and explaining all of the services and support that could be made available to them. And I can tell you, I've had personal contact with some other situations around town where the fire chief becomes very involved, and it's greatly appreciated, and you've always made yourself available, and I thank you for that.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. Councillor Eagle.
Yes, thank you, Chief. Thank you for being proactive on the fire department, on the fire alarms and inspecting some of the units in town. I think that's, good on you for doing all of that. And I just want to also speak to the volunteerism. Getting involved on council and being out to so many events, I am amazed at how many hours and the work and the fun and the real commitment the fire staff have engaging with the youth, the parents. Just amazing watching them there at the fire hall with the breakfasts and all that you do, and the day out, the car washes, you know, for that's the it's like not accessibility, but anyway, you're there with the fire hoses, teaching kids how to do that, wash the cars, and the whole department is just so engaged. I think people would be shocked if they really did know all that goes on there, like all the work that you do with the community. So thank you. And today, was that the three J's? Jake, Jeremy, and Jason? Yeah. Just looking if you're listening to me, yeah. After it was finished, I thought, well, that was a 3J day. Okay, thank you very much.
Is that like a hat trick, Counselor? Only the 3 J's? All right. Any other questions or comments? Deputy Mayor Snell. All right, you're okay. All right, Chief, just a question. The charges and fines that are late, are these in long-term rentals, short-term rentals?
Through your worship, the most recent was actually one of each, so it's two different scenarios. The first was a business that was operating as, or trying to operate as an Airbnb without a business license, and we received a complaint inspected, and all of the smoke alarms in the house were removed. So they received 2 fines under the Fire Protection and Prevention Act. Another one recently came in as a unit with a long-term tenant in it. Same thing, 2 of the units on the property had no smoke alarms, and therefore they received charges and will have a future court date. Again, it's enforcement that we can do under the Fire Protection and Prevention Act.
Just to be clear for members of the public and council, this was a short-term accommodation that had people there long-term.
The second scenario, that's my understanding.
Thank you very much. You know, it's this time of year where it just seems inevitable that as we get closer to Christmas, we always hear of a tragedy. And the tragedy being the fire, but even worse, the tragedy that somebody perishes in those fires because we don't have working smoke alarms. And you know, I think it's important, and I know, Chief, that you and Inspector Ellery are working on, and will continue to work on this, but important that we really ramp this program up, I think, because you know, when I think of the amount of fires and fatalities that we've had in the last year even or two in this municipality, where the chief has come to us and told us that there was not a working smoke alarm, or there was some other issue that had it been working properly, it possibly could have saved a life. This is so vitally important to our community. And the amount of, you know, anguish and heartbreak that puts on families and friends, but also our firefighters, because every time a firefighter goes to a call like that, they lose a piece of themselves, I'm sure of it. And we need to keep this always in mind. Chief, did you have something else to add?
I do, Your Worship. So I wasn't going to bring this up, but I think it's entirely fitting given your comment. So this particular address was inspected after receiving concerns from other departments, and it was inspected by our inspector on Monday morning. The 2 units were found to have no working smoke alarms. This morning, so our inspector, I should say, worked with the tenant. We provided loaner smoke alarms to be in place to offer protection, and then our inspector contacted the home or the property owner. So as it would have it, this morning actually at 12:30 a.m. we got a call from that unit, and there was a fire in it. So there was a power bar that was being used to plug in essentially a heater that overheated and caught fire, and it was a smoke alarm that woke the individual up. So to your point, this is exactly why smoke alarms are needed, and we will have a zero tolerance approach, certainly moving forward for all occupant operators.
Well, I wasn't going to bring this up, but since your comments make it appropriate, I will do so. You know, what a scenario that is. And it's why this council and staff are working hard to fix the problem that we have in this community with some short-term rentals continuously doing long-term rentals when these units are not, in so many cases and in so many ways, suitable for long-term accommodation. and/or suitable even at this time of year. You know, these units, many of them have to have electric heaters or space heaters plugged in. We've had many times, I know, where bylaw or building or fire has been into these units, and, you know, there's extension cords running all over the place with and overloaded with you know, cooktops and heaters and you name it. And to think that in this particular case, had it not been inspected and a loaner fire alarm, smoke detector not given to those individuals, this story would probably be very, very different right now. You know, I'm sorry, but it's disgusting that many of these operators don't understand or get it. We're talking about people's lives here. And I cannot stress this enough, that we need to be on top of this. We need to be pushing this with building, with fire, with bylaw, every single day to make sure that we keep our residents safe in this community. Okay, I understand that Councillor White, Councillor Eagle, and Councillor Timms, you have comments on item 8.3, so I'll go to Councillor White to start with comment on that first.
Thank you, Your Worship. 8.3, so this addresses the wellness nook that's being funded by the Smile Cookies. And I just really wanted to say how important this is for people who don't know the importance of a sensory place for youth, providing them safe, controlled environment to address their sensory, emotional, and mental health needs. It definitely helps them with enhanced emotional self-regulation, improved focus and participation, reduced behavioral incidents, and gives them a sense of belonging. And I just wanted to really make a note of how important that these types of things are in our community to delivering services for everybody, and not just the people that you see in front of you every day. So I like this. It also helps with long-term coping skills. So again, I just wanted to congratulate the Youth Centre on achieving this. It's a great milestone.
Great comments. Thank you, Councillor White. Now go to Councillor Eagle.
Thank you, and through your worship. Yes, I too want to comment on that, and I want to thank Jenny Marlette and Megan, who are both here today. Jenny's our Recreation Service Supervisor, and Megan, the Youth Programmer at our fabulous Youth Centre. And they're so passionate and engaged and it's rewarding to see this Youth Centre just flourishing like it is. Like, it's the happiest place in town, truly. And that to think now with this program that the kids will have their own space for, I gathered like you have over 600 since 2021 that have, gone to Collingwood, and it's wonderful that that has been there, that service for CGMH. But now that it will be in that very own beautiful space there, I think it's just a win for these kids and for their families as well, to know that they'll have that. So thank you for all the hard work you do on that.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't reiterate what my colleagues have said, but I did want to recognize Tim Hortons for delivering over $18,000 in 7 days. We eat a lot of cookies in Wasaga Beach. And also, I want to thank Tim Hortons and our staff that arranged for us to be a part of it. I worked the drive-through window, and man, is it a lot of fun. And I saw for myself how hard and fast those staff members work and how excited they were about the program. Thank you to Councillor White for elaborating on the little sensory center that we are now able to have at the youth center. This is something I knew nothing about when I was raising my kids, but I know more about it now through my granddaughter's eyes. So I was delighted when I saw that. And again, just big thanks to Tim Hortons for directing that money towards the youth center. And Councillor Eagle, you're absolutely right. It's flourishing, it's thriving, and it's leadership and enthusiasm and passion that makes that happen. So thank you, staff.
Thank you, Councillor Timms. Any other questions or comments? You want to speak again, Councillor Eagle? Go ahead.
Well, they're kind of all combined, 8.2 and 8.3. Yeah. So, so I'll just.
We're on 8.3 right now. So 8.2 will be later on in the program, or in the agenda, sorry, in the program. Yeah. I'm thinking of the youth center. All right.
Then I am speaking to 8.3 then.
You
No.
just spoke to 8.3.
That was 8.2, actually. But it was, yeah, it doesn't matter. Thank you.
You'll have another opportunity, which I know you just love, Councillor.
Okay.
All right, great. Any other questions or comments, I should say, on this? All right, Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Worship, through you. I echo all the comments that all of my colleagues have made. And I just want to, again, big shout out to Sarah and Sarah Colley and her team at Tim Hortons, because this isn't the first time that they've supported youth in our community. It was back in 2021 to 2025 that she and I, then as school trustee, she made the monumental commitment of 4 years of half the funds of her Smile Cookie campaigns going towards the Eat Well to Excel program, which supported nutritional programs in all of our elementary schools. So hats off to Sarah and her team, and thank her again for such a great investment in our community and our young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Any other comments? Well, I'm going to take the opportunity. I have a bit of a conflict here, but I think you all know how I feel about Tim Hortons, and I'll just say that corporately, over $13 million was raised during this Smile Cookie campaign that went all to local charities like this in communities. So, I know that Sarah and Trent and Jan, who has the other stores here in Wasaga Beach, are big on community support and community work, and so I'm not surprised by what they do here. It's what Tim Hortons does. All right, we'll now move on then to comments on 8.10, and that'll be Councillor DeLeo to start with that, and then we'll go to Councillor Timms. Councillor DeLeo?
No, Mr. Mayor, I had pulled it earlier, 8.10. Oh, sorry, no, my bad. It is a comment. My bad.
It says
It's
comment.
the next one that'll be a pull.
Right.
My bad. Not enough caffeine this morning, sorry. Okay, the word system. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, I'm glad to see that the word system option will be put on the October 26, 2026 municipal election ballot so that residents have a say whether to implement a word system here in Wasaga Beach. My position and reasoning for supporting a word system and putting the original motion forward in our community is that it provides a better representation and helps to create a sense of partnership and trust to an elected. Councillors within a small area can also provide a more personal connection between community and the council and gives councillors an opportunity to get to know their constituents on a more personal level. A word system creates a clear line of accountability as residents know exactly which councillor is responsible for advocating for their neighborhood's needs. Representation by ward ensures that each community within our larger town has a dedicated voice and advocate. It also provides the elimination of constant duplication of work on the same issues, further creating additional work for our staff, having to answer to different individuals with different opinions on the exact same matters. A word system naturally distributes the workload between councillors, therefore representing all facets of a municipality. This will eliminate individual councillors receiving the same email from resident, with each councillor having different responses. This can become challenging and frustrating as each councillor may have a different approach to that inquiry and staff getting several requests on the same issue. It is very time-consuming for our already busy staff members. Many residents are unaware that under the policy of the town of Wasaga Beach, any emails sent to all members of council, including the mayor, can only be answered by the mayor or his representative. Now, having a word system is not something innovative in our country, and as such, it is evident that once a council is elected, the goals are that we work as a team for the betterment of the community. I believe elected councillors will not lack perspective of what's best for our town as a whole. Although main areas of our town, like the beachfront, should include all councillors' representation and not only one. So other municipalities in our area that have a ward system include Elmville, Aurelia, Springwater, Oro Mennonite, Barrie, Innisfil, Essa, Bradford, West Gwillimbury, Beaton, Tottenham, Clearview, Tecumseh, Creemore, and Stayner. So let's put Wasaga Beach on that list. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments on this matter? Councillor Tim, sorry.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think I pulled this report, although I thought it was a different number. But anyways, I too am in favor of the ward system, but my comments really are how important I think it's going to be to communicate to the residents what the purpose of that vote question will be on the ballot. I think in the 2018, as a resident, I had missed all of the public engagement that happened prior to that, because it has to start pretty early. I think it's a significant change, and it deserves every opportunity for our residents to respond to it. A February public session is going to be coming up soon, and I think it's going to be a timely challenge with snowbirds and our winter population that can be harder to reach. I think to ensure meaningful participation, our communication strategy needs to start as early as possible, and I'm sure those plans are already in place, but I think using every channel that we possibly can. A newspaper notice, radio, mobile signs, still my personal favorite for reaching the masses who drive by it every single day. Digital messaging, but also, is there an opportunity to do some outreach to some of the community groups? As I know that's already happening in town, but that's quite a large, engaged community within our community that will really help to get the word out. I think the community needs repeated, accessible opportunities to understand the proposal and provide input. And I think if we take this approach, residents will be well informed and confident in whatever decision they ultimately make. So my comment was around making sure we really hit public engagement hard. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Worship. Through you, just a couple of points. While I support the ward system, we saw it on the ballot in previously, and it just narrowly was defeated. I agree to Councillor Tim's points about communication and making sure that it's clearly educated in regards to what constituents are voting for. Just a couple of points of clarification to Councillor DeLeo's points. In reference to that the mayor, that others are not able to respond to emails as a head of council, that's a typical policy. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that piece. And a lot of the geographical areas that you referenced, their geographical mass is quite different than Wasaga Beach. We're long and linear. They're very, very large geographical areas. And Stayner, as you referenced, is a part of Clearview. So that would be included with the Clearview Township in terms of being a ward system. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Any other questions or comments? Councillor Ego?
Thank you, through your worship. Yes, I'm really on the same line as Councillor Tim's here about communication, letting the people know. I would bet that a lot of residents do not even understand a large system versus a ward system. They will look at you and say, what's that? And especially people moving here, we're getting lots of families moving in out to Sunnydale. I think it's paramount that they understand what the system is here, because most don't. So it's about communication. So I'm on that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other comments? Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to make this publicly so the public knows. I've been given a date so far when the public meeting is going to be held for this ward system. I'm on vacation for 2 weeks, starting then. So to let the public know, that's why I will not be there, because I'm on vacation. Not that I don't want to be there, because I do want to be there, but I'll be on vacation.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. Are there any other comments? All right, seeing none, we have a recommended motion then that the following consent list items under staff reports and all the recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding the items pulled, and moved to matters for consideration to be voted on separately. Can I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor DeLeo, seconded by Councillor Timms. All in favor? That carries. No, not a recorded vote. I'll call it again. All in favor? That carries unanimously. All right, item number 9 is correspondence items, and there is one piece of correspondence from the Township of Clearview that has been pulled and will be considered in matters of consideration. Item number 10 is minutes and boards and committees, and the recommended motion is that the consent list items under minutes and boards and committees be received for information. Any questions or comments on this matter? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor DeLeo. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Item number 11 is matters for consideration, and we start off here. The first matter is the Youth Center endorsement in the Headstrong program. But before we get into this, I think it's important that we take this opportunity to introduce Lee Furlot, who is already working with the town, but is now going to be stepping up to assist us with recreation and facilities. And I'll look to our chief to have, as the general manager of that department, to comment as well. Chief?
Sure, thank you, Your Worship. Yes, I'd like to welcome Lee to a new role. However, he has been with the town for quite some time as the manager of parks, and he will continue to hold those responsibilities. But he is also going to be helping us out as the acting director of recreation and facilities. He has 15 years of progressive management experience, and most recently as the recreation coordinator for the city of Brampton, as well as the recreation parks and culture manager for the town of Sylvan Lake, Alberta. He has several diplomas, including recreation and leisure, professional golf course management, project management, and landscape construction. And we certainly look forward to having him as part of the community services team and helping with leadership in our division. So welcome, Lee.
Welcome, Lee, and thank you very much for stepping up to assist with this, and we're happy you're on board. You've been here for some time and doing a great job at Parks, but would you like to say a few words? First thing you're in charge of is fixing the mics.
Good morning, Your Worship and Council. Thank you for the very warm welcome throughout my onboarding here, although it is very recent. The support from this team has been tremendous, from GM Williams to everyone in the recreation and facilities team. So I look forward to a successful 2026 and look forward to celebrating many successes with the recreation and facilities team, as well as the parks team, and working closely with council. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Lee, and again, happy to have you on board. All right, so then the first item pulled here was the Youth Center Endorsement Headstrong Program. This was pulled by Councillor Timms with comments from Councillor White and Councillor Ego. Councillor Timms.
Thank you very much, Your Worship, and I was really excited to read the report from Jenny Marlatt, but I did have some questions for Jenny, which she answered very well, and I'm even more excited now, Your Worship, but I pulled the report so that Jenny would have an opportunity to speak to the report. I think it's an extremely good win for the town and certainly for the youth center, so that was the purpose of the poll, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Good morning, Jenny. Good to see you. We'll make sure that mic's working. Have a seat. Get comfortable. All right, mic's on, and the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, and through you, Your Worship, thank you for having me here today. Did you want a high-level overview of the program? Okay, perfect. So Headstrong is a mental health support program. It connects youth ages 12 and up with certified psychotherapists. The sessions are free, they're easy to access, and there's no referral necessary for any of our youth to access these services. Therapists will meet a youth in person, they'll meet them online, they will even go for a walk with a youth, whatever the youth feels most comfortable with and will benefit the youth the most. The program is run through the Environment Network. Right now, it is mostly run out of Collingwood. They're highly funded right now by the Collingwood and General Marine Hospital, and they're looking to have a more regional approach. So they've reached out to the Wasaga Beach Youth Center and explained their program. The Youth Center and the Recreation Department have met with them and asked many questions, and we're here today just to ask Council if you would support and endorse this program coming into Wasaga Beach and through the Wasaga Beach Youth Center. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Jenny, and I don't think there's going to be a problem with that. I mean, we'd be crazy not to. And so, thanks for that overview. We appreciate it. Thanks for the work you do. And I see Megan's here as well. So, Megan, to you and the team over there. You know, myself and Deputy Mayor Snell had an opportunity a couple of weeks ago just to go in and sit down and have some hot chocolate and cookies. Not that I like hot chocolate and cookies, with a bunch of the youth from the youth center, and just talk to the youth and tell them our background and our life and where we came from and how we got to where we are. And what was really amazing to me is how engaged. There was probably, I want to say, 10 to 15, maybe 15 youth there who can eat cookies, believe me. But they were focused and listening. We expected to get in there and it'd be a little, crazy and wild, but they were really focused and listening, and great questions, and shared. We asked them to share some of their background and some great stories, and really an eye opener for me, and I'm sure the deputy mayor as well. But great work that we do here. I would guess that vast majority of our residents have no idea, A, that it's there and the youth center is there, but B, what a difference in young people's lives the youth center makes. And there are youth there from all different backgrounds, all different economic levels in life, all getting along, talking to each other, helping each other. And Megan, you and the staff there, I can't say enough. It's pretty cool when you really get. So anytime anyone is ever given an opportunity, and I don't say take an opportunity because we're dealing with youth, so, and not anybody I'm sure can just walk in, sit down and have hot chocolate and cookies, but anytime you're given an opportunity to do that, I encourage you to do so, because it will give you a completely new perspective on what we do at the youth center and with our local youth here in Wasaga Beach. So thank you so much. Any other comments? Councillor Belanger.
Yes, through the mayor, anybody who's paying attention to the news lately, I think would all agree that some of the pressures on our youth today are unbelievable compared to when we were in our youth. This social media can be the most wonderful thing, but it can be the most cruel thing as well. Certainly there's some countries considering banning it for children under 16. But there's just as many that want to hold these companies accountable, because suicide rates are up, and there's so many situations where a youth is made to feel terrible by peers, and so this is very timely, and it's great for a community our size to be able to take advantage of this, and I'm sure that it will improve and save lives in our community. So congratulations. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. My apologies to Councillor White and Councillor Ego, who also wanted to comment on this. Councillor White.
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Welcome, Lee. Yeah, very much in support of this program. Thanks, Jenny and Megan, for all your work on this. There are three of us at this council table who have school-aged children at home, so I know that that's pretty unique for our town and hits pretty close to home for a lot of us. The cognitive behavioral therapy piece to this, the CBT, I think is incredibly valuable, especially on the young person and their family. The youth of today, they deal with pressures and environments that we as parents never had to deal with in our childhoods. This therapy provides crucial and specialized form of support for young people, helping them navigate the challenges of adolescence. especially with life skills, improving communication, addressing mental health challenges early, self-esteem, but more importantly, providing a confidential space where they can talk about things like family conflict, bullying, academic pressures, substance use, and so much more. So again, thank you for this. It's such an important piece to the youth in our community and delivering services that we desperately need here. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Great comments. Councillor Ego?
Thank you, Your Worship. And I have really said earlier about how I feel about the space and how important it is, so thank you. Colleagues have said it well.
All right, thank you. Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I cannot support this any more than the rest of my colleagues. I speak from personal experience. Navigating mental health support for young people or even for adults, it's a meat grinder. And it's a service that is very, very challenging to access. Whether it's through funds or whether it's through transit or services and non-ending wait lists, it is very, very difficult. And unfortunately, many people fall through the cracks unless you are a nonstop champion or have a champion in your corner. It's very, very difficult to access. So first of all, I thank the province for recognizing that post-COVID, our young people have been impacted so greatly. Like, you think about us as adults and what we went through during the pandemic. Our young people that went through that have experienced isolation, nonstop access to social media, which has created an exacerbated problem, 25% increase in anxiety, self-harm, hospitalization. So for us to be able to access this program and bring it right into our neighborhood, right into a safe place that our kids are already coming, is amazing. Because what that does is it allows youth to not have to depend on a parent or a grandparent or anybody else to be able to get that help. They don't need to see their doctor to get a referral. They don't need somebody to give them a drive to Collingwood or have access to transit. They can just do it themselves. And when you can empower a young person to be the director of their mental health, that is life-changing. So, excuse me, I encourage us to not only grasp at this funding, but really push for more, because our kids could use it and we have the space to provide it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Councillor DeLeo?
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. 100% support it. I'm very familiar with mental illness. As a registered nutritionist, about 4 years ago, I did a webinar for the federal government on stress and mental illness, and the amount of youths that I had to deal with was very sad. So any support that they can get, 100%. And, nutrition does play a factor in that as well. So I'm hoping you can incorporate, hopefully in that program, some nutritional advice, because that plays a big role. But anything you guys can do for these youths, you got my full support. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor DeLeo. All right, we do have a recommended motion that the report titled Youth Centre Endorsement Headstrong Program to the Council meeting of December 11th, 2025 be received, and that the Council endorse the direct staff to promote the expansion of the Headstrong program, which provides free youth therapy services into the town of Wasaga Beach, funded by the Collingwood General and Marine Hospital CGMH Foundation and administered by the Environment Network. Any further questions or comments on this? Seeing none, could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, recorded vote.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank
Councillor
you.
Belanger.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo. In favor. Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor.
Carries unanimously.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I've got a year to get there. All right, the next item is the Georgian Triangle Humane Society Funding Request Memorandum of Understanding, and this was pulled by Councillor White. Councillor White?
Thank you very much, Your Worship. Yeah, I had actually a great phone call with our CFO, Jocelyn, the other day about this. I really want not only for us on the council table, but for the members of the public to understand how deferred revenue or deferred monies earn interest, what happens to that interest, and how does it benefit the town and or in this case, the Humane Society. So I had a great conversation, but I felt that the response was definitely worth reading in council. So if Jocelyn can read the answer to the question, that would be great. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor. Good morning, Jocelyn.
Good morning, Your Worship, and good morning, members of council. With regards to our discussion, we were talking about the 30,000 contribution to the Georgian Triangle Humane Society and how we put that into a reserve, and we were discussing interest that might be earned on those funds that are put aside. And my response was, yes, it earns interest, but not directly to that specific reserve. And I explained how we do our investments. So we look at all of the available excess cash that we have, and we put it into various investments depending on the time frame that's needed. We have long-term investments, medium-term, and short-term. And then as we earn the interest on those investments, we allocate the funds, the interest, to the deferred revenues such as development charges or our federal gas tax or OSIP funding. The interest earned, a portion of it, its share of it for those reserves is allocated to those reserves. And the remaining interest that we earn, which is on our general reserves, that's allocated in our budget, our operating budget. And it is used to help offset our operating costs, so we benefit from not having to raise as much taxation because we have this interest earned on our general reserves that helps to pay for various items in our operating budget. So that's what we went through, and I think that provides a short overview of how we use our investments to our benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam CFO. Councillor White?
Great, perfect, thank you. And then furthermore, as we also discussed, was that this project is likely to be ahead of schedule. So although we will be accruing funds for 10 years, we will likely at some point pay out as to where we are, and then continue annually with that towards that great project of the Humane Society. Thanks again, Jocelyn. Awesome.
Thank you, Councillor White. Other comments on this item? Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. The part that I really appreciated about this strategy is I can respect that the Georgian Triangle Humane Society does an amazing job, an essential service for our community and for our region, but they have a very ambitious goal of a 19,000 square foot facility. And I think this was a fiscally prudent plan for this council to put the money away into reserves until they're able to really lock down all of their complete funding. Separate from the donated land. So to the point of Councillor White incurring some interest, great. But I think what this does is also just really helps to protect our taxpayers to ensure that the project comes to fruition before any funds are delved out, if I have that correct, Madam CFO.
Jocelyn?
Thank you, Your Worship, and yes, that is correct. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Any other comments on this matter? Seeing none, we do have a recommended motion that the report titled Georgian Triangle Humane Society Funding Request Donation Agreement to the Council meeting of December 11th, 2025 be received. And two, that the draft donation agreement with Georgian Triangle Humane Society attached as Appendix A be approved in principle. And three, that the clerk and treasurer be authorized to finalize and execute an agreement with Georgian Triangle Humane Society. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor White, seconded by Councillor DeLeo. Madam Clerk.
Councillor Blanchet.
In favor?
Councillor DeLeo.
In favor.
Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell, excuse me.
In favor.
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And the next item then is the Township of Clearview letter dated September 23rd, 2025, reopposing use of Clearview Township's agricultural lands for national defense, AOTHR, receive site. Deputy Mayor has pulled this along with Councillor Ego, Councillor Timms, and Councillor DeLeo. Deputy Mayor Snell?
Thank you, Your Worship, through you. I'd like to support this letter of communication, and if I get a seconder, I'd like to speak to it, please.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Snell. Can we have a seconder for this? Councillor Timms? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Since we had similar communication to council, I guess it was probably a month or so ago, as a member of county council, I had a conversation, took the opportunity to have a conversation with the Clearview Mayor, Doug Measures. And while I support every effort of our federal government in defense to protect our great country, I cannot support essential and lush farmlands in what I would describe not as rural, but rural residential being used for this initiative. This area is in a neighborhood surrounded by tens of thousands of people, and once in place, the land will irrevocably be affected and cannot be repurposed. Again, I support the federal government initiatives to support in any efforts of defense, but in my opinion, they got it wrong here. It does not belong in Clearview and instead somewhere much more truly rural. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Snell. And next is Councillor Eagle. Councillor?
Thank you, and through your worship, I totally agree with the Deputy Mayor's comment there. And and the letter mentions about looking at alternative locations such as Pickering. So that got my brain thinking about North Bay, Ontario, where we have a CFB base up there. And there's one that's referred to as the bunker, but actually it's really interesting when you read about North Bay. I mean, they built a facility there 40 years ago. They called it an operations center. And it was only decommissioned in the early 2000s. So up there in North Bay, 40 years ago, built in the 60s, they had an air base. They moved underground in the early years there. They had support people for a month in the event of a nuclear war. So it was built for protection at the time of the Cold War, what was going on in the world then. It's an amazing, and so I'm looking at, we have so many facilities there. You had roughly 700 civilians working, and military persons worked, and they called it in the hole. The others called it the underground complex or the operations center. The main installation where most of the work happened was a 3-story figure-8 shaped building built inside a cave, so built underground. They have there accessibility by 2 tunnels. The north tunnel was just over 2 kilometers long, and that came from the Air Force Base. That tunnel is still there. This is all still operating. The south tunnel was 980 meters, and it came from the city of North Bay, so it came from their downtown. Why did it close? Well, it actually still exists. And by the early 2000s, their old computers were decommissioned, so they were done. And the threat of nuclear war was over, so they no longer seemed imminent, and there was no longer reason to maintain that expensive facility. But what they did, so NORAD in 2006, which isn't that long ago, they put their Canadian facilities, moved above ground to North Bay's new Sergeant David L. Pitcher buildings. So they've moved, the operational facilities over to that building. And so what's there now? It's largely storage. 2012, it was used for a film, in the film industry. Proposed uses for today are turning it into a home for Canada's audiovisual archives, making it a museum. So I'm just saying from the same thing really as Clearview are. Look at the assets that the military have now. Look at what they have in assets throughout our province somewhere, and maybe that's my suggestion, not to go with it. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councillor Eagle. Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship. I think Deputy Snell really expressed how I'm feeling as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councillor DeLeo.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. Now, I had originally pulled this letter of support at our September 23rd council meeting and requested we submit a letter of support rather than just receive it. It was suggested that staff do more research on this issue and bring it back to a future council meeting. I'm glad to see that the Township of Wasaga Beach has received the Township of Clearview's letter dated September 23rd, 2025, regarding the opposing use of Clearview Township's agricultural lands of National Defense's A-OTHR received site. Now, for those at home that don't know what this really is, so Clearview Township, the preliminary received site at 2225 Side Road 15 and 16. So the site details are this: 288 hectares of agricultural land with some farm structures on the west side of the site. At the time of acquisition, the lands were actively used for growing and harvesting crops. The property consists of some wooded areas on the east side and bisected by a creek. The site overlaps with provincial areas of natural and scientific interest. The site falls within the regulated area of the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. Surrounding land consists predominantly of agricultural lands with limited recreational and commercial uses. Now, the financial impact to Clearview is devastating. Clearview will lose some of its tax base, economic activity, and will have more Department of National Defense using its roads. It's troublesome to me knowing that they are our neighbors. Also keep in mind the lands in question are part of the menacing swamp, an important wetland for migrating birds, fish, and other wildlife. Land preparation will be required for each location, including flattening of the land and removal of any obstructions that would impede the radar's signal, including potential clearing of forested areas or filling in the wetlands. I agree and support Clearview Township's council that they, the federal government, do not need to use more valuable farmland for the DND project. Other lands such as Crown land, less valuable farmland, abandoned sites such as the Pickering Airport or County Forest should be considered. Many farmers are devastated by the potential loss of their family farms that have supported several generations and want that legacy to continue. Farmers want to continue their family culture and traditions on these properties. I truly hope the federal government reconsiders this decision and chooses another location where farmers will not be impacted. Saying this, I would also like to request, rather than receive Clearview's letter of support, I'd instead like to send a letter of support to members of Parliament that Clearview has initiated in their motion. Let's show our Clearview neighbors we here in Wasaga Beach do care. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Councillor DeLeo. I'm just going to look to our clerk here quickly with respect to that request. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Your Worship. We prepared a motion based on the conversation, if the mover and seconder agree, that Council for the Town of Wasaga Beach support the Township of Clearview's letter to the Honourable David McGuinty, Minister of National Defence, dated September 23, 2025, opposing the use of valuable agricultural land in Clearview Township for the use of a received site for the National Defence Arctic Over-the-Horizon project, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to the Township of Clearview. Honourable Heath MacDonald, Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food, Honourable Julie Desbrusen, Minister of Environment and Climate Change, NVCA, and Simcoe Grey MP Terry Dowdell.
All right, thank you very much, and that'll be moved by Deputy Mayor Snell and seconded by Councillor DeLeo. Any other comments on this matter? I just have a couple. You know what I think is very interesting? If you read the information with respect to this from the federal government, the first thing that stood out to me is that it indicates that this should be located in a remote area. Folks, I don't know what's remote about Clearview or any part of Clearview, quite frankly. And the other thing that is been made clear is that these lands, once these lands are used for this function, they become sterilized and can never be used for any other use again. And my understanding in speaking to my friend and colleague, Mayor Measures, is that there will be thousands of antennas placed on these lands that are emitting radio frequencies and radio waves and receiving all the time. Might that be why their standard says it should be in a remote area. You know, I've heard, I heard Councillor Ego speak of North Bay, which is, you know, part of the 22 wing of the Canadian Armed Forces air element, and part of NORAD for, you know, it was a big part of NORAD for many, many years in the cavern that is there. I don't know where the right place is for this site, but one thing I do know, it sure as heck isn't in the middle of Clearview, because there's nothing remote about it. And I think a lot more information needs to be given and provided, I think, by the federal government with respect to this site, no matter where it goes, and what maybe the long-term effects may be on humans and wildlife. Whenever I hear that a piece of land is going to be sterile after its intended use, I don't know about the rest of you, but that kind of scares me a little bit. So I believe and support Mayor Measures and his council and the folks of Clearview Township wholeheartedly. You know, I think that this is just a bad decision all around. Having said that, we don't know why this area was chosen, but if there is a specific reason that is vitally important to the defense of our country, then the federal government should probably let us know that. But until I think any stronger case comes to have it there, I don't think I know I would fully support you know, Clearview Township in saying no, not in my backyard. And we hear that all the time at our councils, but this one, this is a little different. All right, so you've all heard the motion moved by Deputy Mayor Snell, seconded by Councillor DeLeo. Madam Clerk.
Councillor Blanchet.
In favor.
Councillor DeLeo. In favor. Councillor Ego.
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Snell.
In favor?
Councillor Timms.
In favor.
Councillor White.
In favor.
Mayor Smith.
In favor?
Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. And moving on to item number 12, recommendations arising from boards and committees. There are none today. Item number 13 is council requested staff reports. You've seen the list, council. Any questions or comments with respect to the staff reports? Seeing none, moving on then to item number 14, notices of motion, and there is none before me. Does any member of council have a notice of motion today? All right, seeing none, moving on to item number 15, which is the closed session, and we have the recommended motion that pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the next portion of the December 11th, 2025 council meeting will move into closed session to consider the following matters. 15.1.1 proposed disposition or acquisition of lands in accordance with section 239(2)(c) of the Municipal Act, and 15.1.2 human resources matter in accordance with section 239(2)(b) of the Act. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this, please? Moved by Councillor DeLeo, seconded by Councillor Ego. All in favor? That motion carries unanimously. We're going to take a 5-minute bio break, and we'll come back then into closed session.
Your Worship, we are now live.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and we'll now, we've just come out of closed session, and I'll look to our clerk for a rise and report. Madam Clerk?
Thank you, Your Worship. Council entered closed session today at 11:52 a.m. to discuss the following matters. Item 15.3.1, proposed disposition, acquisition of lands in accordance with Section 239(2)C and Section 239(2)K of the Municipal Act. Item 15.3.2, a human resources matter in accordance with Section 239(2)B of the Act. As a result of those discussions, staff direction was provided. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk, and we'll now move on to item number 17, which is bylaws. The recommended motion that the following bylaws be received and to have been deemed to have been read a first, second, and third time and finally passed. 2025-65, bylaw 2025-66, 2025-67, 2025-68, 2025-69, and 2025-70. Could I have a mover and a seconder for these bylaws, please? Moved by Councillor Ego, seconded by Councillor Belanger. All in favor? That motion carries unanimously. Merry Christmas, everybody, and Happy New Year, and this meeting is adjourned.